but it was something like, you find yourself by helping people, which kind of doesn't make freaking sense, right? But that's how I found myself, it was pretty dang cool. And no one really believes you when you tell people that, by the way.
I believe it.
I believe that.
Yeah. Whenever I'm serving others, man, I'm putting other people's before myself or other people before myself, then, man, it helps me more sometimes than the other person, which...
It feels good, man. It feels good, right? Yo, I'm in the light at the end of the tunnel. Paper stacks, yeah, I got them in the bundles. Harry Potter breaking bread with the muggles. They said I would've...
All right, Kev, start us out, man.
You got your whistle?
I got my whistle.
All right. JJ, you ready?
Let's go.
All right, Ty, you ready?
Always.
Timeout. Tyler, who are we taking the timeout with today?
Well, Kevin, I'm trying not to do my average run-of-the-mill comments on my whistle, but, man, that thing is still sharp and heavy. But, ladies and gentlemen of the 585, the DFW, and the good old city of Fountains up where JJ is in Kansas City, the nice and sweet Overland Park, we have JJ Widener. He is the director of cybersecurity at the one and only Kimberly-Clark, ladies and gentlemen. And JJ, I just wanted to start out, man. You mentioned that you were learning some new chords on that guitar over there. What's the new song you got rolling for us, man?
I was working on a Chris Stapleton song. But man, he is so talented, and I am not so much when it comes. I've been singing since a young age, but when it comes to actually playing guitar, I started about 8 months ago and just started playing some songs by Brandon Lake. Really enjoy some of his music, man, and then I've been working on a multitude of numbers now. So it's good, man. It helps me just get all the junk out, and focus on teaching myself something new. So the great part about that is I don't have to think about work or think about any of the other stressors, that I can just learn and work on something new, man. So it's been a lot of fun to do that.
Dude, it's fun singing a little Brandon Lake, that Hallelujah song I've been getting my grunge voice on, man. Was it?
Yeah, dude. He like a jelly roll on that. It's a good song, man.
It was broke down Hallelujah. Is that the one?
Hard fought Hallelujah.
Hard fought. Oh yeah. I belt that one in the car, man. And then I kid you not, JJ, I'll record myself singing that song because I think I'm nailing it. And even with that raspy voice, you really have to even nail notes with the rasp too to make it sound worthwhile.
Yeah, man. So that song is a very easy song to play on guitar. So that was the first song I played. It's a stuck 3/4, so you keep your pinky finger, your ring finger on the same E and A strings, and then you just move these two just a little bit. And man, so that was my first song. Very easy to learn how to play. I actually did record myself playing and singing that one. So yeah, man, it encouraged me to pick up the guitar. So I was thankful for that.
Well, since you're a singer, I'd like to hear your version, but I also love to know where Tyler's version gets sent to, or if that just stays on your personal device.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I think it's I think I'm nailing it, guys. On 35 down here, and I get home and I'm the baby's in bed, and then I'm upstairs, and I'm all right, I'm gonna do. And there's another one, I can't remember which one I've been doing lately. It's that one sec. It's you'll know this guy. Is it Sam Barber? JJ, are you familiar with Sam Barber?
Not very familiar with that one.
Okay, he's a pretty good newer country artist, and he has some grit in his voice. And I kid y'all not, I thought I had that one the other day, and I got home, and it just sounded flat. I'm how can a rasp yell sound flat?
By the end of this year, I want to record my own original song and have it on Spotify. So that's the goal. That's what I'm driving towards. Show my kids that they're middle aged, mid 40s, they'll learn something new and do something new. Yeah. So
what's that song going to be about?
I don't know, man. I'm still writing some options for lyrics. So I think part of it will be maybe just the testimony piece, man. So how you get from here to here, maybe some of the struggles, kind of like a hard fought Hallelujah song that really, again, spoke to me, man. But I think that's a good, meaningful way to start if you're just starting out. Let people get to know a little bit and put something down. So that's the goal. We'll see.
Really cool. So a singer, songwriter, guitarist now. How the heck did you find your way into what you're doing as professionally?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. For cybersecurity, So I grew up on a computer, man. So I was using it was a Cool Edit back in early '90s. So there's a program called Cool Edit. So I was really on computers for music back then, and then I kind of drifted away from that. And then I was started getting into kind of cracking. Cracking some software is probably not the best thing, but 14. It's like, I really want this Adobe software. Sorry, Adobe, I might owe you. No. But, on this, but again, young and dumb, doing some things with kind of just oh my gosh, like kitty, what do they call that? Oh my gosh, I just where it's all like pre-made for you. It's like it's pre-made for a kid. All you got to do is click the button and it'll crack. So I got exposed to that back then, and then I grew up on movies like The Matrix and Hackers with Angelina Jolie, one of her first movies. Man, when that movie came, actually I got a poster up in my room. Their only crime was curiosity, right? So that got me into like just interested in computers, and I was on computers all the time. I was out in the country. Thankfully, we had dial-up internet, man. So 52K. Actually, we had 28.8 dial-up kbps. So everybody remembers that if you're a little bit older.
Slow downloads as they slowly crawl down the screen. Yeah.
Pages and. So I used to play Age of Empires
that's a good one
on the PC back in the day. Yeah, so started there, man, and then kind of got out of IT and computer stuff. Went into manual labor. Just worked for Pepsi, actually, stocking shelves at Pepsi, and decided I didn't want to do a career in IT. And then you do that for a little bit, and I was like, what, a career in IT sounds pretty good, man. So. So then I got my degree, a bachelor's in computer information systems. Really didn't know cyber was the route I wanted to go, man. But I loved, again, computers. It came easy to me. So very thankful for that. And, then once I started really in my career, I would say that was probably about 15 years ago where I really put my foot down and know what I wanted to do, really focus in, start working on leadership skills and other, just learning more about IT. So I've done systems administration, network administration, database administration, so pretty much the full stack. I didn't really come from the coding side, so actually coding applications, but always had an interest in it. So I picked up some Python along the way, we had COBOL back whenever, doing some basic COBOL programming. So then once I got into, I would say about 10 years ago, started working for a small community college in southwestern Kansas, Seward County Community College. And time, place, and opportunity, man. Sometimes you got to make yourself marketable enough to get your foot in the door and then do whatever you need to do to work your way up, right? You're probably not going to start where you want to end, right? So you got to start somewhere. And, I was just very blessed with an opportunity. Somebody was leaving at the director role, and I put in for that and got promoted to director of IT, and then worked with the leadership team, the president of the college, and helped them start their first CIO role at the community college. Making sure IT is at the table. IT is in everything, right? If anything strategic you want to do, it's most likely something to do with IT nowadays. So first CIO at Seward County Community College, that was pretty cool. And then, I decided I wanted to get more into security. So we had one thing that happened at Seward County that really sparked it. This is the event, if you guys want to know, because I started, as soon as this happened, I realized just how powerless and how little I knew. And then I just started certain up after this because I wanted to know everything. So we had a ransomware attack. Took out half of our file servers. Thankfully, we had good backups, so we could restore. But it took us down for 3 or 4 days. And I was sitting there thinking, man, like, what if it's a small mom and pop shop? What if it's somebody that couldn't afford a $100,000 backup system with tapes that were rotating in and out so we can get transactional data back up and keep our business running, right? Like, what if that happened so that kind of just lit a fire in me that I never wanted to feel that way again. I never wanted to not know what to do in that type of an event. So, man, I just got a hunger and thirst for cyber. And so in 2017, I got the CISSP. I just went after the hardest one right out the gate. Well, some would say it's the hardest one. Some of those red team certs are pretty darn hard, like the OSCP and some of those. But the CISSP, and then I got all this ISACA certs I think I could get. So I have the CISM, CISA, CDPSC and the C risk for my SOCA. And so I did all of that in like a 2-3 year time. During that time, I also got my MBA from Fort Hays State University with a focus in cybersecurity assurance. So I wanted to, again, grow my leadership skills, understanding of the business, while also understanding more of the cybersecurity realm. So in that 3 year period from 2015 to 2018, I got my MBA, all those certs, and then I just kept it going, man. I just keep picking one every once in a while, and I'll go after it. So I have like all the Microsoft security suite of certifications, all the SC 900, 300, 400, the SC 100, the cybersecurity architect expert for Microsoft. So that, just again, the journey of just continuing to grow myself professionally, grow myself intellectually, and grow myself as a leader it's ongoing, right? It never ends. So that's a little bit, and there's a lot more there, man. But without going too far depth into too many things, that's really that ransomware attack, man. Yeah. Not only did it really piss me off that it happened, because it's upsetting, man. It just like, who does that? Why would people want to do that to a company, to make a cheap dollar? And you're wrecking businesses. You're wrecking some livelihood of people. And so that right there, man, that's what got me. And I found my passion and I love it. So I still love learning about it. Even with ups and downs, there's challenges, right? It's a very challenging career sometimes because there's always something happening. So you always got to be learning, always got to pick up something new, but get recharged, get reinvigorated, and go back out there and keep crushing it. So that's what I like.
JJ, I'm going to send that short clip that you just said right there to all the younger kids, man, because I get it asked all the time, how do I get into this? And once they hear what you did and how many certs and just how ambitious you were, right, on not just siloing yourself on like the network side or the system side or the cyber side, because every kid I talk to, coming out of college that I try to help out, they all want to be a C-level in the IT world, right? And they really don't know. I mean, I think they know what it takes to get there, maybe with the new work ethic of kids nowadays. But I kid you not, man. I'm just going to replay what you just said, if you don't mind, to a few dudes I'm trying to help out, because I get the answer back. Well, I might get my security plus. You might want to go. You might not want to do that. And once they hear you get there. And I wanted to ask you, how was it going from higher ed, man, to one of the world's largest CPG companies?
That is shocking. Yeah. Yeah. It is humbling. And I am so humbled by the enormity of what I help protect, because there's a lot of responsibility there, right? And if you look at each one of the mill environments that Kimberly-Clark has, located internationally, those are almost like community college systems, So it's like, then they're everywhere and international, right? And a lot of regulatory and other stuff that I might not have had to pay so much attention to in a small Southwestern Kansas community college. So that again, just some of that, I take a step back and think about that sometimes on just how I got from there to here. And there was a lot of trust put into me by other leaders, right? As some leaders like Jim Castle, he's a former CISO at Kimberly-Clark. He now is a CISO at 7-Eleven. Just very encouraging, right? You can do it. And, the president of the college that I used to work at, I don't think I would have got my MBA if he wouldn't have looked at me and said, I believe you can do it. So sometimes, and it's that one statement that somebody can hang on to and say, you know what, I can do it. So it's really cool when other leaders actually help plug leaders up and build other leaders up as well. So I have to give a lot of credit because I did some of it, right? I put in some legwork, but man, it's other people pouring into us as well that I have to really give some credit to as well. Yep.
Yeah, I love how you put that. But I think in order to pour into others, your cup's got to be pretty full. I used to believe in that half cup theory only for myself. I would see it full, but I was always half full. But I want to go back. Going back just a couple pages, I think, and some of the things that you said is going back to that testimony. I think that's something that Tyler always refers to it as, I want to know that somebody's walking with a limp. I think we always want to jump forward and say where we're at and celebrate the success of where we're at. And then almost to Tyler's point with those younger kids, it makes it seem unattainable. They didn't hear that you had to go back to manual labor. You kind of flirted and touched around, and that's what I've realized about myself. You had to try different things. You had to put yourself in different situations. You really had to come out of, not to be cliche, but that comfort zone. And I see so many people get trapped, whether it's their discomfort zone, where they're almost, they like being discomfort and discomfort. That's replaying that old story, right? I'm not enough. I might, right? I should, I would. And I also think people get trapped in that comfort zone too. But to your point, I think the greatest lesson that I've learned in leadership is sharing that testimony from start to finish, not skipping over the bad parts like they didn't happen or they didn't exist. And I know that's what our mind wants us to do, right? Well, it was easy, and it's like, how can't you figure this out? Instead of skipping through those sub chapters, I think that's really the glory of why we're getting these types of blessings within our life. But looking back, and I don't know about you, JJ, when you look back, it's almost like it was the perfect story to get you to find and uncover that passion, but you were never really holding the pen. How good does it feel to be stepping into your passion? Does it feel like you're going to work every day? Because I think that's really society right now, especially after the pandemic. And here we are 5 years later, and it seems like it was just yesterday. But talk about that evolution from finding your passion to you mentioned your purpose, but how is that passion now trickled down to the impact of the team members as well as the rest of the 40 some odd thousand people that you have there?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. So, how we got from where we are to where we're at, and, making sure that the passion stays around too, because, passions can come and go, right? So that's another hard piece. So I would say there's passion, right? And the understanding, like, I'm passionate about this thing, but also understanding like what could happen to take this passion away, and making sure that so being passionate and energized and excited about what I'm doing as a living, and that's a huge blessing for sure. So I count my blessings every day when it comes to that, because there are times where there are challenges, and that's where the passion helps feed where, maybe some others would have given up or not went through to the finish line, right? Or, like they see the CISO role out there, and, man, I want to get there, but how do I get there, right? And, passion, if it's a short-lived, or maybe you're passionate about something else that maybe is not, about protecting and helping people. Maybe I'm passionate about, I want to make some more money. And I know that passion might be short-filled, or you might never get to the end of that passion, right? You can never fill up on some of those things, some of the material things. So I think, like, for me, my inner passion is I love helping people. I love seeing other people succeed. I love cyber because it does help protect people, right? So if I can tie my profession mentally, if I can tie it to helping people, man, it makes it, then that makes me want to hop up and go, right? Because I can use my skill set, I can use what I've learned, and I can help protect people. I can help protect businesses. I can help protect, whatever it's in my realm. In the scope of things, that might not be able to touch everybody, but man, if I can really tie on to helping somebody, man, that just goes to something deep inside of me that just makes it easy to get up and work. Wow. So then back to those that I help encourage and help lead, right? I try to lead by example. I had one person reach out to me, asking for help on a job, right? And he's like, but I've been in management 10 years, and I didn't ever earn a certification. Like, man, I've been in management for 15 years, and I've got like 13. So it's sometimes it's making sure that you're continuing to make
a badge of honor.
But so if we're saying I'm in management, I don't need to continue to stir it up and be marketable. And then when the time comes to find a new job, you haven't done that legwork in the past, and it's like, but I'm a manager. But so I want to make sure that my team, whenever they see what I'm doing and what I'm working at, that they can see themselves also doing and working and achieving that. And it's it's pretty cool, man. I really love the people I work with. every time, right? As leaders move from different organizations, I've been a part of a few. The people really make it for me. And I love just showing other people either one, how they could possibly do it, give them a word of encouragement, telling them that I believe in them. I know they can do it. I can see it in them, right? Like other people have poured into me, and then help to get any roadblocks out of their way. Like, what can I help you do to get a couple hours on your calendar? Block off a couple hours and just say, I can't do anything for these couple hours because I want to learn a new skill. So I think making it available, encouraging that they know that they can do it, and I believe in them. Whatever, however that helps somebody, those are meaningful to me. So I hope they're meaningful to others.
I think so. I think, again, sharing that testimony and hey, this is how I would do it. But ultimately, I think it gets back to the I believe in you. We're our own worst critic, as the saying goes, and that proved really true when I started to really think, like, what do I say to myself? And somebody had shared with me, like, would you let anybody talk the way that you talk to yourself to your wife or significant other? And it's like, hell no. It's like, absolutely not. Definitely not. I would probably beat that person's ass. But I think, like what you said, uncovering, it sounds like your core values, right? To protect, to help, to provide. And I think these are like some of the beating drums that we've all gotten in this masculine dominated world that we've grown up in as men, is like, these are your roles, these are your duties. But to your earlier point, I think the uncovering of a purpose first, I think people have two fears, right? Will I ever uncover my true purpose? But then you talked about the other side of the coin where passions can change, but your purpose kind of stays the same. And I've seen where people on the passion side are so afraid of losing, right? If it's money, if it's wealth, if it's family, that they also stop growing and learning because they're trying so hard to hold on to what they've already amassed. And that's kind of, I guess, similar to my experience where I stopped, right? I kept achieving. The only analogy that I can give, I was so hungry, but I was looking in all the wrong cupboards. I still had this unfulfilled sensation inside until I really stopped and started to reevaluate. I'm not shy talking about faith, but that was a big part of it. I thought I could do it on my own, and I thought I was, and I was meeting everybody else's checklists and definitions of success, and not really taking ownership of, I'm not even driving this bus. So I think, to your point, I think you seem to have a really good grasp on your core values, and you're unwilling to change, right? Irregardless of the environment that you're in, you're always hungry to learn and hungry to grow. And I think that's one of the big things that I've learned, right? Not everybody beats by that drum, but when it's a burning passion like that, you almost have this universal experience that you'll never forget. That's pretty powerful. I mean, it seems like you go back to that as you're to reignite that flame and that energy to say, okay, I still want more and more and more. And especially with AI, to your point, JJ, I mean, now we're talking about something so new, and there's still people in that bell curve that are like, and it's fascinating to kind of sit back and watch something now that is going to be so disruptive.
Oh, yeah, AI. You start talking about that and the different ways we're going to have to protect AI and think about how to protect AI in the systems, and getting dependent upon AI. And then what if the AI fails? It's kind of like, what's your backup if all the AI is now not working, or the application stops working? So yeah, some of those questions and how we're going to do that moving forward is a fun challenge to figure out as well. Agreed.
Dude, absolutely. And JJ, I wanted to harp on real quick that you mentioned a couple of things. Helping people seems to be your baseline, man. And I remember one wise fellow one time told me something. I'll probably mess the quote up, but it was something like, you find yourself by helping people, which kind of doesn't make freaking sense, right? But that's how I found myself. It was pretty dang cool, and no one really believes you when you tell people that. By the way,
I believe it.
I believe that.
Yeah, I think whenever I'm serving others, man, I'm putting other people's before myself, or other people before myself, then, man, it helps me more sometimes than the other person, so I don't want to selfishly say I serve on purpose, but I do. I serve on purpose because there's three things for me. There's the mental, the spiritual, and the physical. that I maintain and make sure I'm keeping in top shape. Right. So I've also like lost 70 pounds. So I told Tyler about this. So in 2022, to talk about the impacts of the pandemic, man, it was mentally stressful. I started eating a lot more. We were at home all the time, right? Dude, I ballooned up again, man. And I had lost weight. So my weight journey is kind of like, other journeys, right? So because we talk about how I got here, we talk about some of the good things I'm doing, but man, there were a lot of bad times as well that we're not talking about, right? And I don't want to drudge any of those up, but man, I'm an imperfect person that just tries to, keep doing the next right thing, right? But to take care of the mental, the spiritual, and the physical piece, and the synergies between all three of those are so critical for me, because if I'm not taking care of one of those, then likely I'm gonna, it's like the three-legged stool. You can't really sit on a two-legged stool. So I'm really trying to focus in on that. So I wake up at 5 a.m. I hit the gym. There's a couple of classes I do. There's like community classes. So I've tried different things in my fitness journey as well, like working out by myself. Yeah, I'll do it, but it's not very encouraging, not as much fun. But the community of people that like to get together and work out in the morning and do like HIIT training, the high intensity interval training, dude. So I'll show up and do that. I'll kill it for 30 minutes, just totally drenched in sweat, come home, let's go. So taking care of the physical, and because I'm taking the physical piece so hard, it's helping me with my mental, right? Because those two are just inexorably linked, right? If I take care of one, it's helping me take care of the other. So, and then the spiritual, of course, however you get your spiritual feeding, not trying to say one way or the other, right? Just make sure you're feeding your soul, because that's helped me tremendously as well.
Absolutely.
There's something about that, JJ. I'm in the same exact boat. I think I told you I wake up at like 4:45 and wake up with a couple of C-level IT folks in my neighborhood. Like we have like a cinder block, and it's like a bunch of older guys too. But I was thinking the other day, there's no way in hell I would do that by myself. Like,
you would probably think you're a little insane.
Help me play with my cinder block. Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, really, man, how do you keep it going when you don't want to? Even at, I think there's some synergy at work. Even you're a leader of your team over there. There's got to be some human side to everybody to not quit, but like have those lulls sometimes. Just like every day my alarm wakes up, I hit snooze until like 4:56. But what gets me at least through it is I know, and we all have nicknames at this place, by the way. So I know like Purple Rain and Netflix and Reorder are busting their butt. And it's been kind of cold down here the past month, man. It was like 12 degrees a few days. And I was never one to join a group. It was like, dude, I can crush abs or, do push-ups. But here's the deal at the gym. Guess what I always skipped out on? Core. Imagine that. I'll do some in the fourth quarter of the Hog game tonight is what I always told myself. And I would never do it. But I guess a guy like you, JJ, like when you have that block, because I think you are human and you said you're imperfect, which we value that on this show, man, because we've had some people that don't think they are. How do you get over that mental block, either at work or at 5 a.m. working out, or even trying to learn a couple new songs on the guitar? Because I know that could be pretty darn frustrating too. So take the floor, man.
Yeah, that's a good question, man. And one that I've had to work on myself, right? Because everybody's like disciplined, right? You have to have discipline. I mean, flat out, that's the word that we drive towards is discipline. But man, discipline really hard when you want to hit that snooze button twice, man, because it might be negative 20 degrees outside. And, so there are days, of course, you gotta know that you're not going to be perfect. You're going to fail, right? But don't let one failure end up being 5 failures. Mm-hmm. Right? Don't let one day of not going to the gym end up being a week, right? So, if you have to take a day to recoup or to get a day back for yourself, then take a step back, get that day, but pick right back up, get back on the discipline, get back on the train, right? But yes, I would say the biggest thing, that and routine. So once I get into a routine of doing it, the discipline becomes easier, right? So if I can have the discipline long enough to build the routine, and the routine is repeatable, and I know I set my alarm for this time and I get my butt up, I get one snooze. And talking about the self-talk, if I don't get up, I'm like, get up, you piece of, get your butt up. And, what are you doing? You're not going to get any gains laying down here. Like this. So, dude, I have some self-talk that'll get me going pretty quick. I can also beat myself up pretty bad, so I got to watch it a little bit. But it's good. You got to have that self-talk that'll tell you, you know what, get up and get up and go do it. Don't make excuses, right? Because a lot of the reasons why I don't want to do it are usually excuses. It's not like a full impairment, because there are times where you're going to be maybe physically impaired where you just can't do it. And unfortunately, that's a sad part about it. Our bodies will fail eventually. So I'm just thankful right now I can get up and go do it. So I think some of that is I'm just thankful I can get up and go do it. That's another piece that helps feed that. But yeah. Discipline is hard, man. It's hard to grab onto and do. But man, that routine, if you can get into routine, then that's what's helped me. So
that's cool. And I think some kind of piggybacking off of some of the things that you were saying earlier too, it's like, why do we like usually a recent death, right? It gets you to start the rethinking, it's like, man, well, I always have this, or somebody has to lose something, or I have to lose something in order to say, man, was I taking that for granted? And you seem like a very self-aware individual. And I think the more I've grown in trusting myself and loving myself, I think that has increased my accountability of myself. The other things I would procrastinate, I would push off, right? I would find an excuse, someone else to blame. And until it was worded in a way to me of that victim mindset, I carried more of a victim mindset than I was ever really honest with myself. The definition that I had, the personal definition, was one that I seemingly never met, right? So it's like the mind plays really serious tricks on you, and it's almost categorizing those as distractions, getting you further away from your purpose and your passion. And it's amazing to me how much those increase the closer that you get. Mm-hmm. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about, right, was not letting that one failure lead to 5. And I think that's really where that self-awareness and that self-acceptance comes in, to give yourself some grace in those moments, because it's when I keep beating myself up that it does start trickling into day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, because you're on the mat, somebody knocked you on your ass and it's you. Yeah. When you say I got to watch it, right? Because I'm a disciplined individual. When I get my mind on something, I'm like a pit bull, right? It's like laser focus. I'm not distracted, but there's times when you start veering off that center line a little bit. What have you found to be successful when you say I got to watch it, right? Where is that balance? Where is that line where you're like, okay, I'm getting a little too far. Maybe I need some compassion for myself.
Yeah. Sometimes it's having a good support system as well. Surrounding yourself around people that see that. Maybe you don't see it yourself. That would be one thing. But let's say if it was me, and I know I've had, I just had one a couple weeks ago where I didn't want to do what I needed to do. And, so recognizing, because it is self-awareness, man, to be self-aware, like, okay, you can, how much slack is enough slack? Know yourself, you got to know yourself. And so, because I've tried a ton of different things, regardless of what it is, working out, singing or learning something new, certifications, right? I failed at certifications. Does that mean I'm not going to ever take a certification again? No, it's unrealistic, right? So, but maybe having somebody to soundboard with, somebody, a peer mentor, that can, from a professional standpoint, a spiritual mentor, whoever that might be in your life, that can, maybe help pull you out of a rut. Sometimes we don't need a helping hand. We just need a hand up, right?
Yeah.
You need somebody to help pull you out from the either mental, and there's some really challenging, mental things that we have to deal with in this life. You mentioned one, death, right? You lose somebody. How do you just pull yourself out of that real quickly? You might be down there for a while. You might need help from a support system for a long time, and that's okay. And sometimes you got to be okay with not being okay as well. And know yourself, and know that, you need to get to the gym, and maybe that will help you in this time, but knowing that also you just might need a break from your normalcy, because there's just so many things to that, man. But that's for me, that's one thing. I have to have support systems. So
I love that.
People that know me, that can help keep me accountable, that I can reach out to and say, hey man, like the community thing with working out. If I don't show up, dude, you know what some of these people do? They are getting on me and saying, why not in the gym, dude? Like, what are you doing? You slack, and it's all in fun, but sometimes having those people that can help pull you out, that know you well enough, man, that's really helped me.
And I think that's like your point of hand out versus hand up, and I think you just talked about one of the things that we might not consider when we talk about community. I think it's always like what we can give within that community. But I was also reading something the other day. It's us helpers, right? Us fixers, us healers, right? We always want to share. We always want to give to others. And how much we limit others from giving that same gift and that same blessing so they can learn more about themselves by giving to us. So that's one of the areas that I'm really working on myself, to make it bi-directional instead of always one way, because I'm limiting their ability to find their blessings by giving to me at the same time. I read this great quote in this book, and it says, everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. And I think that kind of really speaks of what we're talking about today, JJ.
Yeah, man. That's a beautiful, beautiful quote, man. For sure. I would definitely latch onto that, because we can change. You don't have to be stuck in the same spot you're in. You can make a decision today, to do something strategically that can help you out long term. Figure out what that is. What's the end goal? Start working backwards to what do I need to do today, man.
Yeah. I don't think people do that enough, but that was hardwired into my biology degree. You start with a hypothesis and work backwards, but everybody wants to start forwards, and it's like in this immediacy world. It's like, no, I want what's at the end of the line. It's like, you didn't see how long that line actually was.
Take a while, man.
Yeah, and I like how you broke it down, to not stack bad days. And what I've just, I'll chime in on what I've experienced lately is not stacking bad hours. Even like I'll eat real bad sometimes, and I'll kind of freak out, and I'll go down the road to the sauna, and then I'll play like 9 basketball games and hit the gym. But and I used to not do that, because to me, like, if you wake up and you get a workout, and you're probably not going to eat bad at lunch, you're probably not. But if you don't do that and you hit something bad at lunch, there's a pretty good possibility I might hit something bad at dinner too. So just that, I love the "I gotta watch it" kind of quote, JJ. But and sometimes I would chalk the whole day up. A week ago, I did chalk a whole day up, man. My wife was like, "You ate Whataburger 3 days in a row. Now you're eating the whole thing of Tillamook ice cream." And I'm like, I am doing that, and I gotta stop right now. So the whole thing went in the trash, and then the sauna, here I come, just to start some sort of momentum with sweat. And I think sweat really gets me going. I used to tell Kevin, he'd ask me what I'm doing today, and I'm like, I've got to find a way to sweat, man. It's my only goal. My job could go south, other things could go south, but today I'm freaking sweating, guys.
Dude, you said that right before this, man. I did 15 minutes on the treadmill, 15 incline, got my heart rate up, and then I sat in the sauna for 20 minutes and just so, dude, I know it's gross for those that don't want to just talk about how sweaty. I just got back from a 4-day cruise, so I did pretty good, man. I didn't eat all the crap, but it was good. So I sweat a lot of that out, though, here right before this podcast, man.
Yeah. It's almost, Tyler, to your point, is like having short-term memory. You made a mistake, but not excuse the next mistake by just throwing it in for the day and looking at it by every hour, every 60 minutes. Let me just win the next 60 or the next 24. And that's helped me kind of stay a little bit more in the present. But that's one of the things I was going to ask you, JJ. You obviously picked up the guitar, the certifications, the community, right, that you're building at the gym, and you had those 3 buckets. And do you feel like having those 3 buckets, we talked about the 2-legged stool, the 3-legged stool, does that really pull you to force you to be in the present moment, right? You talked about it a little bit at the beginning with the guitar, right? You quiet the noise, you silence all the critics, right? You silence the stress, because it's consuming your mental energy and your focus into one thing. Do you feel like that's really helped you be more present in general and in meetings, right? In your one-on-one conversations with members of your team, maybe even at home with your spouse or significant other? Do you feel like having those activities in your life helps you to be more in the now?
Yeah, I would say 1,000%, because to get rid of all the distractions, right? To focus in, having a guitar in your hand and learning how to play, I got to look at what the chords are going to play and then play. But that's there's no distraction outside that when I'm going to learn and focus in and hone in. Same thing when with people, right? Do you want to have a one-on-one with your leader? and all they're doing is texting and messaging and not making eye contact or even really talking or absorbing anything you say. I mean, there are times where we're all busy, but that focus of on the person, because that's what we're there for. So yes, being present, being in the now, everything that I've learned has probably helped point me to that, right? Because I'm not going to be able to learn and absorb and really consume what I need if I'm not in the present at that moment. If I'm always being distracted, always looking at my phone, always seeing the next notification, man, I have to turn notifications off on my phone. I set up personal focus time after 6 p.m. because I get tired of being dinged on my phone. So you have to call me twice to get through. People know this, right? Just call me twice, because you call me one time, it's not even ringing through, So having boundaries as well, I think are very important.
Yeah. I just heard the other day you can put your phone in black and white, and they did some study that it's like that you end up using it 30% less because it's not like crack for your brain. And I was like, oh, that might be a hack that I'll try.
Yeah. Shit, like that.
And I guess, guys, just to wrap this up, we're kind of coming up on time, JJ, and thanks for giving us your time. And sorry about the technical difficulties on this app today. But and kind of a fun question. I really need to know your expertise on this. How accurate was Hackers really? Like, I remember watching that in the 90s. Like, when a guy like you watches it, is it just total nonsense? Because I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but I loved it. How accurate was that?
So whenever I need to rewatch it again, I would have to say, crack in the D-base, but to have a 3-letter password, that's God.
That threw off the whole movie.
That bad back in the day, the people just password. Come on. Yeah, but it's so funny. Like, whenever you watch it again, you're like, and they're blown away. Like, it's got the 12.8 kbps modem or 16.8 was, man. But yeah, I would have to say some accuracies, but definitely a lot of inaccuracies.
Okay.
Password got me, but yeah.
Now the passwords, like the Google suggested ones, I'm like, who the fuck could ever remember this thing? And I was like, since when do passwords have to be like 64 characters? I'm fucked.
For real, it's over. That's why I password managers and stuff. But anyway, it was great talking with you guys. Great meeting both of you for sure.
Okay, man. Well,
time, JJ.
That is the story of JJ Widener for all our listeners. And thanks again for being on the show. And we'll hit stop right now.